As promised, this is episode number 2 of It's Your Life, Time to Live It, a podcast that is for the audience to learn a little bit more about lifestyle, community, and obviously a little bit of real estate here in the Dominican Republic. And I'm proud to share with you, the panelists today. So let's start with the big guy. I want to know a little bit, the big guy, where are you from? How long have you been in the Dominican Republic? And a little bit about the community that you live in.
I am from the United States, originally from Chicago, Illinois area, and I moved to Indiana, and that's where we moved, Indianapolis, Indiana, and that's where we moved from to here. Love the Dominican Republic, fell in love with it, and so we moved here. And the community I live in is Cabarete East. I live down on the east end of Cabarete, very laid back vibe. My block, my street in particular, we have just awesome neighbors. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody looks out. We got one guy, we call him the mayor.
Okay.
Because he knows everybody and everything going on. Then we got one lady who lives directly across the street from me on the second level, and she's on her porch all the time. We call her security.
Okay.
Because she sees everything. And then this is odd, but my dog, she goes out and with the other dogs, and we got these dogs that just kind of love us, and they come up and we rub them and pet them, and it's nice. And the people who own the properties that are not developed don't mind sharing the fruit that's growing on it, the bananas, the mangoes, and they don't. And the Gwenpon, they don't mind. Hey, here, you want some? And so my block, my neighborhood is pretty awesome.
I like that you added that even your dogs have friends.
Yes. Well, there's a lot of dogs in the Dominican Republic that are just, they're out there, but these belong to people, so.
All right. And to the right of me, we have Katie. A little bit about where you're from, age, and the community that you live in.
Yep. So I'm from the UK. I'm from Bristol originally, and I've been in the Dominican Republic for 9 years now.
Time flies.
Doesn't it?
Oh my goodness.
I know. So I was a little backpacker when I moved here, escaping the corporate world of England. And yeah, I would say the Dominican chose me, and I stayed here for a lot of reasons, and I think it'll be hard to go back to England now once you experience such a good quality of life. I live in Encuentro in the surfing community. I have my family, my daughter, and couldn't speak higher.
And what about your neighbors where you live? Because you have a pretty cool condo neighbors.
We do. We're really lucky. We're only in an apartment building of 10, and we're good friends with 7 of the owners, completely international. They're all ocean advocates, so we have that in common, that we love to surf, go to the beach. And we have wine and chat most nights, which is great.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love Encuentro. And Natalie, share with the audience. Where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and I have been here for a year and a half. Yep, just over a year and a half now. And I'm here with my 3 boys, 7, 5, and 2. So I'm staying very,
a little bit
very
busy.
busy, quite busy. And we're just really enjoying living a warm, happy life down here. They go to school very close to my home. So we live in Sosua Ocean Village, which is a wonderful community, super safe, super secure, always filled with kids. They have, which is odd here because in Canada, there's always sidewalks. Here, there's no sidewalks almost, except for some of the roads. And in Sosua Ocean Village, there's really wide sidewalks, which is an important one. So the kids are always able to go off and play and just meet up with their friends everywhere, which is lovely.
Yeah, no, I agree. So for the audience here, if you haven't guessed by now, today's episode is called Know Your Neighbors, right? So the podcast being about lifestyle and community, I know there's a few important events that are happening. One is actually happening today, Natalie. So maybe give a little insight into what's going on in Ocean Village today.
Yes, totally. So we are really lucky at RealtorDR because we're always hosting open houses. This is a great opportunity for our fellow agents in the area, as well as potential clients who happen to be in town or our residences here, to come and visit new locations and different property options that they may want to consider buying or position to their clients if they have somebody in mind. So today, between 4 and 6 p.m. AST, because we're in a different time zone for everybody else, we are going to be having an open house in Sosua Ocean Village. It's actually our colleague Paula who will be hosting it today. And it's going to be in the section of Campo del Mar 3, Villa 4. if that makes any sense for people, but it's fine. If you're in the area, pop on by, speak to security. We'll happily get you in. And we always throw one hell of an open house. So
Absolutely. Right. Samosas, food. It's fantastic. Right.
we do it well.
Yeah. And I know that area very well. Lived in Sosua Ocean Village for 3+ years.
Absolutely.
And as far as amenities goes, you have some water parks there. You have a couple restaurants. You have a great gym. It's a fantastic community. So if you're in the area, let us know.
Absolutely.
Come and visit. Come and say hi. And this weekend, we're also a proud sponsor of the Dominican Surf Festival. And Katie, since Encuentro is your backyard, tell us a little bit about the Surf Festival.
Yeah, absolutely. It is organized by Dominican Surf School, which is owned by Papito Santana. And this will be their 4th year of doing this event. And every year it's getting bigger and better. Normally in Encuentro, a lot of the surf competitions are just about surfing, which obviously is great. But this one in particular is definitely for the community. And they add on, there's a bachata contest, a dominoes contest. They do a volleyball competition as well. And some of the categories are quite fun. There's like a father and son one, so a parent and a child. Yeah.
It's going down. They're going to have some family competition.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite funny because you got, little kids and stuff that can't surf very well. And then you get some really good, like you guys, some dads and kids that can rip. So
Your partner is a former champion, or did he win last year also?
he did win last
Oh, he
year.
crushes it. Yeah.
He does.
I think he's a hands-on favorite.
Yeah, he does. He loves competitions, and especially when they're on our doorstep. So it's a little bit of fun for him.
And I figured this year would be perfect timing for the father-daughter one.
They are entering that one as well.
All right.
That's very exciting.
It's on. Hopefully Rosalie's going to be able to help our team score over here.
Oh, yeah.
My daughter.
Really? Yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun. It's a good event. It's 2 days, I think. So the weekend you can go down. There's vendors. You can have drinks, food. And it's a really good atmosphere.
Yeah, and for people who love dominoes, I think this year when I was talking to Papito, he told me that they're going to have literally like more than 70 teams participating with teams
Well-
on board.
I feel a lot of hostility coming out. Oh, we're going to be.
Oh, it ain't right something slam. Some slapping down of the dominoes.
I love that.
And Cornell, I know that tomorrow we also have something going on also, and maybe talk to the audience a little bit about who should jump on this webinar, because I think this is going to be a great webinar.
Absolutely. Our very own Michelle Bordeaux is going to be hosting Investing Safely in Paradise. And she's
Great
going to have, she's going to have an awesome guest on, Annabelle Rizek, who's a real estate lawyer.
My personal favorite attorney, hands down.
There you hear it. But they're going to be talking about how to avoid some of the pitfalls, navigational tips, just how to invest overall, how to get the flow of everything, and what to avoid and what to look out for, and just the best way to get things going. And it's going to be at 8 o'clock AST.
Yeah.
Okay, and that will be tomorrow night. So I completely endorse this and ask you to jump on, especially if you're thinking about it, or if you're just curious about how things go down here in the Dominican Republic. I suggest that you jump on that webinar.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll put that link in our bio. So if you are curious or if you are interested, just go to realtor.com on our Instagram page, and that link will be in the bio. So what we want to accomplish today is we're going to make this a lot of fun. Okay, we're going to talk about not only what's all great, we're going to talk about some of the challenges, maybe for someone looking to relocate here. We're going to talk about some of our neighbors, different scenarios. But if you want to see more of this podcast, we're going to post all of the podcasts, the full one, on YouTube. So subscribe to us on YouTube. We are also have the podcast now on Apple Music.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and Deezer. I didn't even know these other streaming platforms exist.
People will hear our voices, and we won't even know where they're listening from. It's just amazing. What a world to live in.
Yeah, super exciting. So for Instagram family, guys, stay tuned. This episode will be coming out very shortly. And thank you guys for tuning in. And like we mentioned, Dominican Surf Festival, open house, webinar, it's all happening in our community. All right. Now we can get into it.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Fantastic. So, Natalie, tell us a little bit about how you came to choose the Dominican Republic for relocation. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Sure. So it's been about a year and a half, as I mentioned. About a year before that, I had been speaking with my partner at the time, and we were just considering a life change and new beginnings and what that could look like. And we had friends. Well, he primarily had the friend, and I became to know them. A couple years prior, had made the move to the North Coast. And just like everyone else, when somebody you know moves to a tropical paradise, which seems crazy, you watch their story from a distance, a safe distance from your couch, from your phone. And we just kept watching and observing and admiring, frankly, and knowing that it is probably out of our reach, but hey, look fun to watch.
Yep.
And then one day I secretly started checking into what it would really look like without letting him know, because I was like, I don't want to get up his spirits up, and then I'm like, no. So I started realizing there's a real life to be had here and real opportunity. And it's rare that people in my age range specifically, and I'm not saying I'm super young, but nonetheless, there's really no opportunity these days to be at the ground floor of things. And right now on the North Coast, I believe we are on the ground floor. We're still in the starting point of so much to come. And frankly, I wanted to be a part of it. So here we are.
And talking about people that I still have my cousin to this day. She tells me, how did you do it? I'm like, cuz this is possible. It is absolutely possible. Trust me over there. Now, has that happened to you before, Katie, where people are like, oh my goodness, you're crazy, or how could this happen?
Yeah, of course, all the time. All the time, still. And I say the hardest part is taking the jump, and then the rest is easy. It's always the hardest part is saying yes, moving, and then you'll never regret it. I've never had one client or friend that's regretted moving or investing here.
Absolutely. And Cornell, tell us a little bit about your lifestyle back home, right, in Chicago and in Indianapolis.
Gloves, boots, shovels.
All right. I'm picturing one more thing that's missing there.
So, yeah, the Midwest is unique. You get,
It's like, what? There you are.
you get all 4 seasons. You get the especially in Indiana, you get the extreme hot. You can get over 100 degrees in Indiana, and then you get the extreme cold, which in Fahrenheit is like -5 with a wind chill factor. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what that equates to in Celsius.
It
but
equals cold.
it's cold. So, and then you get the beautiful fall when the leaves turn and all of that stuff. Well, after a while, after all of your life, you see there's something better, and especially when you vacation to someplace else that's like, oh, this is gorgeous, which we did. We came here and it was just gorgeous, and the vibe was like, come, experience us more. And so, we just had to make a decision. I think a lot of people, I know that a lot of people, it's fear.
Yes.
It's fear that has them grapple. They might even have the wherewithal to do it.
Yeah.
But that change, it's fear. And a lot of people just like, you were saying, how did you do it? How did you do it? We just did it. We researched and we did it. I mean, it was like, this is what we want to do. So you make a decision and you do it. Like you always say, plan your work and work your plan.
That's right. And I think a lot of people, they let fear take over. Instead, they could have faith. Right? Because both require you to believe in something you can't see. It's just up to you and what you choose. And, a lot of times when I'm talking with my family or my friends, I just said, one of the most important questions that we could ask ourselves is, how do we want to live? Like if you could design your life and put down some of the key aspects, what would that look like? Right? And I know that you mentioned boots, shovel. You didn't have to mention the snow, but we had a picture of it back there. And I think the UK, although maybe you don't have the snow, talk a little bit about your life in the UK. What were some of the things that are, in a contrast to what they are here?
Well, that was it's funny because many moons ago when I moved, my mom was like, why are you moving? Why are you doing this? You have everything set here. And I was like, Mom, I just want to wake up to a blue sky. I was like, I'm tired of the gray skies. I left the UK January 20th, the darkest, exactly the depths of winter. That was one of my big drivers. And the other one, growing up, we'd always go on vacation. And I would look at everyone and be like, wow, they live here and I only get a week. So I decided to make it my reality. I was like, if they can do it, I can.
Yeah, where people vacation, you live now.
Literally. Yeah.
What a great motto. Yeah. You know, for myself, I was living a busy lifestyle, right? So I was an entrepreneur. I also worked in corporate for 10 plus years. And the moment that I had my son, I realized that, hey, something has to change, because when I was going to work, it was dark. When I was coming home, it was dark.
Yeah.
And I really asked myself the question that I just, positioned for us is, how do I want to live?
Yeah.
And I knew that that wasn't the way that I wanted to live, right? And, making the switch over, I still work hard, but I work on my own terms. And I'm able to be more present in my children's life. I'm able to accomplish a better, healthy lifestyle. And I think those were all keys to myself, just personally designing my blueprint of how myself and my family wanted to live. And I think a lot of people out there can relate to that. So, like I mentioned, not everything is sunny skies here, so some things are a little bit different here. Like, let's talk about some of the differences that if somebody's looking over here, that they should be aware of. So Natalie, what are some of the differences that you making the switch over here kind of, stood out to you that you have to get used to or accept?
I mean, there's a lot of cultural differences. I do find that there's a lot of things that a lot of safety things that are not taken into account here, which I find has been interesting to watch, but somehow it works. Would like an example?
Maybe driving.
Okay, so
Or
obviously driving, just people piling into the back of pickup trucks, 5 people on a scooter, things like that. Again, it's a very cultural thing. They make it work, and people sort of look the other way when there's less safety involved. But even in Sasua Ocean Village right now, they're retiling the roof in the building next to us, and they've created these scaffolds that are.
oh my goodness,
It's
yeah.
hard to describe. You need to kind of see what it looks like, the Dominican scaffold, but they make it work, man, and they're just up there and.
No safety.
They are all
No steel toe shoes.
Oh no.
No helmet.
No.
Yikes.
That's not even possible. And then other than that, I think there's a lot. But the next one that I always come back to sometimes it's the customer service for me. In Canada and in the States, they're mostly, not everywhere, but mostly it's got to be the best, and I have to strive, and they'll send you like calls and quizzes like, did we do well? Please let us know how we can do better. And they're always striving to have that like check mark at 10 on 10. Here, no, that's not really the case. You'll definitely find lovely people. Some people they can't wait to help you. But in stores, I feel like it's not always.
I think the best way to describe that, the customer service industry, is maybe inconsistency.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think there's all examples, like when we go out somewhere and we eat, or we go to, a professional establishment, you're like, okay, that was really easy and that was really good. And sometimes you go and you're like, okay, really? Like, seriously, like, I'm over here waving, my drink, if I'm thirsty,
Like, we're busy. We are busy.
Yeah, like, no, they're busy on the phone or talking with their coworker over there, and I'm trying to wave them down. So I think the best way to describe that is maybe inconsistency. I think that's one of the things. And Cornell, could you add to that? Like, what are some of the differences here that for you and your family maybe you've experienced?
Okay. No, but I think one of the things, and people even ask us about, some of the differences. One, the power outages. You have to adjust to that. It's not the only time for me that it's bad is when it's long, because we have an inverter, and so our inverter is all charged up. And if it's a long one, then our inverter goes out, and then we're completely in the dark. But that has only happened a few times. You just you adapt to it by having an inverter or a generator, but you have to get used to the power outages because they're inconvenient sometimes. You'll be right in the middle of something and, oh, God. And then the inverter kicks in. But our inverter only powers part of ours. It doesn't power everything. It doesn't power everything back up. So that's one of the things. But,
talking about that, I actually have a real life experience. So last year, it was Game 7, the Toronto Maple Leafs, going into overtime versus the Boston Bruins, and literally the power went off. And in where I live in the community, obviously they have a generator, so it comes back on relatively quickly. but it still shut down my internet and my IP box. So by the time I turned back on and everything kicked up again, the Leafs had lost.
Oh,
So I promised to myself that that would never happen again. So on our movie theater screen and on the IP box and where the internet is now, I actually have like an inverter, so it's seamless. So if the power goes off, that will never ever happen again. And guys, I'm not making this up. Literally, my heart was broken. And it was like, I just couldn't believe it. I turned back on the TV and the Leafs had lost. It was like we're cursed.
We were at your house recently and the power went off and it was so dark, but I'm like, what's that sound? My kids were still watching the movie in your living room.
Wow.
So you know what? There was another purpose.
No, game plan. I said, never again will that ever happen. Absolutely. And Katie, for yourself, you know, UK, different life, okay, different climate over there. What are some of the differences for yourself that you and your family may experience here?
Me personally, I guess there's two sides, urgency and punctuality.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah.
Punctuality is a big one for me. What is it? You're 10 minutes.
Are you tricking your guests when you invite them over to little house parties sometimes?
Yeah,
Or birthday
absolutely.
parties?
Give an hour buffer room. If you want it to start at 5, you ask for everyone to come at 3.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
Yep.
Totally. Yeah.
Even on the weekend, we turned up to that party on Friday, 15 minutes late, which gave me anxiety. And it still took,
One's there.
the first one's there, had to help set up. No one was ready. And then it took an hour and a half for the first guests to arrive. And
I literally went golfing that day and I knew because they asked people to come at 5.
Yep.
And I think I came at 8:30, which seemed like literally perfect timing.
yes,
Perfect timing.
we had been there from 5. So,
You're like, we're ready to go home now.
yeah, my husband was like, why did you drag me off the sofa? And I was like, because I was trying to be on time. But, we should just be late. Join it, don't fight it.
And one of the things that my wife also says, and maybe the ladies can relate to this, sometimes maybe shopping is a little different here.
Yes, well, of course. I mean, especially in this area, there's no major malls or
shopping.
or any shopping. There are some little shops in Cabarete and Puerto Plata. Other than that, you're really not getting anything. So I'll seldomly order things. I try not to, but it's possible, which I'm sure we'll dive into. Normally, though, my new strategy is whenever someone's coming to visit me, Canada or from wherever, I will pre-order stuff online and be like, just bring it with you. So
My best clients and good friends, like when they're coming down, they message me or my wife and they're like, what do you want us to bring? And
Yeah.
consistently, the real good ones who come back relatively often, they already know our order.
Yeah.
So there's like ketchup chips, there's like these type of bits that our kids like. Popcorn seasoning. There's like this little random like care package that they hand deliver to us when they arrive, and it's like literally on repeat order with our regular friends who are visiting.
We just came back from the States. So my wife, her friend, she's my co-pastor's wife. And she was like, no, what you do is take your carry-on and put it inside the check-in baggage so that when you come back, you have that check-in baggage full of your stuff and then you use your carry-on.
Yeah.
And my wife took that to the extreme when she
Yeah.
she had ordered all of this stuff for us to bring back. But it worked, and it's a smart thing to do because now we're at least a year. She bought some stuff that'll last at least a year, some Bath and Body Works stuff. And, so, yeah, that's kind of a smart thing to do.
And we had mapped out a game plan this year for Christmas shopping. So me and Catherine are going to fly out to Fort Lauderdale, probably a round ticket flight. I think last year when we went was like $300 American, right? We're going to go there for a weekend and we're going to go to that huge mall that they have. It's like 2 miles long and all the best outlet centers, literally the best deals of my life I've seen for shopping.
Oh.
That mall is literally incredible. We're going with 0 luggage. We're going to get some duffel bags when we're down there and just bring them home like Santa Claus for this year for Christmas for the kids.
I mean,
Yeah.
don't forget your employees. Just
Like there's only certain things that you can order online. The other things like you need to try on, and like I'm not a shoe person to order shoes from online because they look good on a picture, but they don't fit properly. And there's some clothing over there, especially with the ladies, like you want to try it on.
yeah, no,
Try on, is good, right? So, I think eventually that'll change, with the growing population and the demand and flourishing expat community. I think eventually they'll introduce some different shopping
Yeah.
options here. But It is different.
It's different.
You know, it is different. Another thing that kind of is different for me compared to Toronto, where I'm from, is that you don't see all what comes along with the shopping malls. Okay, is some of the convenience or the food selection. So you're not going to find like you know, the KFCs in every single corner, different fast food options. So you got a little bit more of a organic home blend over here. It has a lot of variety of different food selections, but definitely different than North America, and I assume the UK also. Yeah, absolutely, right? Another thing being in the construction field, some of the things that may be a little bit different here, I think, is the attention to detail.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, with the trades, the electrical's a little bit different, the plumbing. And one thing that I found, if you're going to get into any home improvement or construction, you need to be on site. Like rule 101, language, you need to.
You cannot be hands off here. You cannot just trust the process. You need to be the process, or else
I think you nailed it.
nail on the head.
There you are.
Yes,
There you are.
nice construction pun for
Fellow Natalie on Instagram, I think she has a post with her construction helmet on over there.
I do actually. I'm always hitting up those construction sites naturally.
And, you know, talking about neighbors, let's have some fun here. Maybe I have a story, right? So one of my, I would say, least favorite neighbors, and I'm batting like in back home, I'm batting about 50%. It seemed every household that I had, one neighbor loved me, and for some reason, the other neighbor hated me, right? So I remember we're doing some home renovations, and when we're done, we rented out the basement apartment, and the person had worked the night shift. And our next door neighbor, one to the other side of me, he was Italian, he was older, and he was absolutely fantastic. Rest in peace. His name was Jerry. He had his grandchildren that played with our children. And of course, like older school Italian people, they had their garden back there.
Yes.
So every season he would just like share his yield with us, which was amazing. The nicest guy ever. Right. And he's like, if anybody ever messes with you, I have my shotgun here. I'm like,
That's the Italian way.
thank you, Jerry. Thank you. But I think we're okay. I think we're okay. But then on the other hand, I had these other neighbors over here that they started telling Catherine when I wasn't coming back and forth that they thought I was a drug dealer.
That's amazing.
Oh my goodness. So that's like my typical neighbor story. And maybe you guys have some neighbor. Tell me about your worst neighbor that you've ever had.
Ever? Oh my goodness. Let's see here. Okay, actually, this is sort of, okay, in the previous place that I lived in prior to Sissu Ocean Village, I was living oceanfront in this beautiful condo. It was, you know, directly oceanfront, and it was amazing. But I know I'd heard like, okay, not always so favorable for certain things. And then I learned why. So this wasn't exactly a neighbor that I could identify with. It was various neighbors. So across the way, over this, we were 3 floors up. So across the parking lot was a house that was on like a mini cliff. And this was like a typical party house in the Dominican Republic.
Party house?
Yes, party house. So party house meaning they have guests
All right.
that come to entertain everybody else in various ways, okay, and with different activities at that house.
Wow.
Yes. So anyway, luckily my children were way too young to understand things. So I had seen some interesting things, but they were very loud. Like it could be any guest at all. They would decide that this was the time that they were going to party from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. Forget the weekend. Why would you party on the weekend? It was just during the week, and other people had, you know, we don't have regular jobs there, so they didn't care. No, I'm just being sarcastic, obviously. And yeah, so those were the worst neighbors I've ever had, because for that year, I was like, how do people live like this, where people are watching this, hearing this, and I'm talking the loudest music possible. There's no
Maximum volume.
With like one person sat there.
exactly. It's maximum volume all the time. And look,
They'll bring their own speakers most of
I
the time.
literally love a good party, you know that. But I also enjoy my hearing and thought process in my head, and there's none of that.
Downtime.
Sometime we all need some downtime, but that was the worst neighbor I've ever had. Thankfully, it was only for 1 year, but it was various neighbors, various people, and you know who you are. If you're a walker, you know.
So, and Katie, any experiences with neighborly love?
I've had all sorts. I'm actually just not going to go into detail and tell the stories. My worst neighbors, similar to Natalie, you know who you are. If you don't pay your HOAs, your monthly maintenance fees, that makes you a bad neighbor.
Yeah. that can slow down the process.
We'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Well, there's also saying if there's no sour, there's no sweet. Right. So sometimes to appreciate the great neighbors, sometimes you have to have a not so great neighbor to put things into perspective.
Absolutely.
Right. So talking about community, what are some examples of how people can make friends down here? Because for a lot of people, they're coming here, if it's a vacation home or they're relocating, they're kind of leaving behind, some of their closest friends and family. So it is an adjustment. So what are some of the ways that you've made friends down here?
Oh, well, I find it really beautiful here because everyone has come here for a similar reason. We're all from different backgrounds in every way, but we come here because there's a part of us that wants to be free or part of us that just wants to have a different lifestyle. So I've actually made better friends here than I have in the UK, because you're kind of connected on a different level here. I found it very easy to make friends here, whether I'm in the supermarket, at the gym, at the beach, going out for dinner. You just tend to.
And what about the school for the children? Because I know that your daughter goes to a beautiful school.
Absolutely.
And how are the parents and how are the friends that you have from school?
Yeah, absolutely. Our school, everyone is from, it's like a melting pot of cultures, where we are in particular, Cabarete Sosua. So every parent is from a different place, a different country. Once again, we're all connected because we have similar,
Yeah, you all sing down here.
Yep,
Right.
absolutely. And my daughter goes to the schoolhouse, which is in Encuentro, right next to where we live. The kids are very happy. They go to their school in little tiki huts. And
I know a lot.
yes.
Yeah, your children go there.
Oh, one of them.
One of
My youngest one goes there because they don't have a juvenile program at the other school where my older two are going. But he loves it there, and he's more Spanish than any of us.
I know. What a fantastic skill to give your children.
Absolutely.
Both children are totally fluent. I wish I could.
Yeah?
Yeah, I wish I could learn like them, but
It's amazing.
I'm trying my best, but it's a work in progress.
Adria's like hola, hola to everybody.
And I follow the schoolhouse, and wow, what an amazing environment and opportunity to have your child participate in that type of learning in that environment. Maybe discuss like kind of what's different with that
Well,
education or that learning.
Well, there's so many layers to it. I mean, the schoolhouse is super interesting because it was born in the pandemic when all the schools closed, yet people still needed to work. So a couple of the workers started bringing their children to work, and then it went from a little group to a big one, and now they have 4 grades that are full. They're not able to accept anyone else at the moment, but they have such a beautiful outlook with the children. They're kind of in nature. They get to surf as part of their curriculum, which we love. My daughter adores surfing. They get to skate. They did jiu-jitsu, gymnastics.
Horseback riding.
Sometimes, on Fridays they get to do that. They take them to the beach as well, and they help doing cleanups and everything. And, at this age, it's about being a kid and learning in explorative ways, and they really facilitate that in the schoolhouse.
One of the things that taught us during COVID, or one of the things that was missing for a lot of people, was the social aspect. And I think one of the ways that children learn best is the social aspect, right? The social, emotional IQ, right? And I think that's kind of where that school was born, like from COVID, like you mentioned, having the kids together and being able to be kids. I think that's important. And in Cornell, if somebody wanted to meet friends, I know you're passionate, and I know Sundays are a busy day for you. So maybe you can dive a little bit into how to make friends in what your Sunday looks like.
Kind of piggybacking on what Katie was saying, I make friends organically. At the grocery store, for example, I think we were talking about this before we came on. We drink a lot of flavored water, and so it demands us to carry the cases. Well, this one guy always wants to help me carry the cases. His name is Jose, and he just every time. And so we got this friendship. And then the security guard noticed that. Now I'm friends with the security guard and then the cashier. And so that's, kind of organically like that. And of course, through neighbors. Now, I co-pastor a church. So as the church is growing, they invite people to the church, and then I meet them, then I meet their families, and it just kind of organically grows like that. I'm not shy. So, I'm hola with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Hola. I'll stop at the shops and talk to the guy. How long you been doing this? And yeah, you're originally Dominican, and and I'd wind up making friends. So I kind of do it organically.
Would you say, I'm curious, would you say that the overall energy, compared to back home to here, as far as like making friends or having those conversations, is different?
Definitely. And it's, if you would have asked me this 15 years ago, I might have given you a different answer, or 20 years ago, I might have given you a different answer. But society in the United States has changed. People are a little more cautious of people now because of, guns and all of that stuff. I don't want to get into all the negative, but people are a little more cautious of each other. Here, you kind of just don't have that aspect. They're not quite as cautious. We were talking about this too. Here, reputation's everything.
Yes.
How you come off and how you deal with people. If you deal with somebody and they find you offensive or you're dishonest with them, you're going to probably get cut off by the majority of the people that they know. And word of mouth is quick here.
Yep.
Word of mouth is quick. Give you a quick example. I'm taking a client out to see this pre-construction project, and we're showing him, and there's a guy on the second rung, and he goes, "Pastor, Pastor," and I look up, and it's one of my congregants.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? So now the guys that he was telling the guys, hey, they need to come to the church. Now I got the reputation with these guys. So it just really quick. If you do things, sidewinded or kind of not good with people, your reputation will precede you.
Yeah, and just to jump on that too, I think respect is a big thing here also. I think one of the keys is to treat people how you'd like to be treated, and people just need to be cautious when they're coming here. Remember that, right? It's fun, be happy, but also be respectful. That's very, very important.
You know what I say? I say when you come here, you have to adjust to here, because here is not adjusting to you.
That's exactly right.
I think that's the right mentality to have, right? And Sunday, I know my wife's attended before. Maybe talk a little bit on Sunday.
Yes, Sunday. Well, the name of our church is North Coast Christian Church. We are in East Cabarete. If you know where Goddess La Diosa restaurant is, we're right across the street because she owns the restaurant and the hotel. It's Kite Dream Hotel. We're on the left side. We meet at 10:30 on Sundays. And it's just been a pleasure. We have a dynamic mix of people. We have expats, white and black.
Mm-hmm.
We have Dominicans,
Mm-hmm.
and we have Haitians. And so we have a translator, because most of the Haitian people speak Spanish. So we have a translator that speaks. I preach in English, and then she translated to Spanish, and it works. And we're one of the very, 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 did I say very?
Yes.
Very few churches that actually do that. It's either like all English for the expats and they go there, and it's all Spanish for the Dominicans and Haitians, they go there. But we do both. So
So I think to kind of, put things into content there is a great way to make friends is also give back, right? Provide value. Like a lot of people just coming here and, they want to take, right? But what about giving back? I think that's really important. I think that's a perfect example of, being able to make new friends, new acquaintances by giving back, by providing value to the community, right? And what are some different ways that you meet friends here?
Well, I definitely one of the first groups that I ever kind of made was at the gym. So I go to Encuentro.
You go sometimes too, and my wife goes sometimes too.
Yeah, I see Kat a lot. Yeah, well, we go to Vibes, and it's a great place for just a good atmosphere for working out. And when I first arrived here, I was fresh off of having my third baby, and I was like, I'm ready to get back in. And I remember I made a friend, and she was like, "Hey, we always go to the gym. You want to pop over?" And I think it was my first week here, so I was like, you know what? Yes, let's just bite the bullet and just go for it right away from the get go. And I've been going ever since. And yeah, it's been.
I heard you go beast mode in the gym.
I do. They all know that I keep up with the men or surpass them. Yes. And
I'm like checking out some of the posts from Vibes and from Catherine. There's always one or two guys there. I'm like, okay, that's the spot to go if you're a guy over there. There's like 20 hot women.
oh my God, yes.
All
The women are
sweaty, all get their burqa on. And there's two random guys there in the background. I'm like, now these guys know what they're doing over here.
not a mistake. And other than that, you mentioned giving back. So this year I took a part in the Monarch Council for the Butterfly Effect, which allowed me to give back to the community while helping Michelle, our colleague. And that was a great experience for me. It was very, very rewarding. I didn't know what to expect because I'd never been to a Butterfly Effect. And then I was there. taking on the Monarch Council. So I met so many new people, had so many new experiences, and I still have many friends from that experience. And I'm looking forward to next year and just keep building upon that.
What a beautiful event. I volunteered there now. I think it's 4 years. We've been the title sponsor before. We'll be the title sponsor again this year. As a father that has a daughter, she's also attended it. That is the event, like, honestly, for ladies worldwide.
Absolutely.
Like,
You know what I
worldwide.
thought was so impressive? I was looking at, I didn't attend, but I was so impressed by the beach cleanup.
Yes.
That was
Did you see how much they were able to do in just a few hours?
that was awesome.
Yeah, what happens here is, like, when you have a big storm, right? What happens is it pushes in all the pollution from the ocean. It's kind of disappointing sometimes, but hey, that's another way of giving back, is like helping out. And Michelle and the entire crew there does such a fantastic job. Like, I'm so impressed. I'm so proud to be a part of it. The company's part of it, to have my daughter there, and that's something that's going to continue.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
Right.
Sweet.
You know, there's other resources too. I know there's Facebook groups for expats. You know, that's a great way. There's lots of community events, like we talked about with the surf festival, to get out there, go and see the community, go and be present. Right. Everyone is super friendly here, and like we talked about, I think there's something with the sunshine and the salt water, and I think it does good for the soul.
Yeah, but it is annoying, man.
I think there's some soul food incorporated into that, because man, it's you know, there is a different vibe.
People just want to be friendly here. They're just happy to make friends. And like Katie was saying, that there's something that is underlying for all of us. We've all moved here for a specific reason. And I do believe that there is a unifying thread that connects us all. And we all came here for some reason or other, but every time I meet somebody new, we're like, oh yeah, me too. Oh yeah, me too. And I felt the same way. And it doesn't matter where you're from or what you were leaving behind. Now that you're here, we're all part of this one big family. As long as the reputation is good, then you're staying in there. No, I'm just kidding. But
there's also science to the sunshine and
I agree.
and the
Vibration?
grounding. Yeah, put your feet on the ground, take your shoes off, and get in the grass, get in the water. There's actually science to that.
Yeah. And my favorite way to start a day is grab my surfboard, get my kids with me, go out there, paddle out.
Cute.
If I catch a wave, fantastic. Just being out there with them and starting the day, like in my favorite spot player in Crenshaw, is perfect. And with the surf festival coming up, not only that, there's opportunities for real estate there. And Katie, you know, the name of today's episode is Know Your Neighbors. Tell me a little bit about this project you've been working on for a while, because I've kind of watched it from the beginning to where you guys are now. And my goodness, I am so impressed with you. I love the project itself. And I know that there's one spot left. And, you know, we had a talk earlier and you said, hey, we need to get this last one. I said, Katie, it's going to happen, because you know what? You're going to attract it, because somebody is going to want to be your neighbor, and you're going to hand select them. And that's going to be the perfect person for this opportunity. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's called Isla Villas. It's my personal project in Encuentro. And it was born as an idea about 2 years ago. And we've worked very hard to bring it to life. It's a 4-villa project, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. 2 are sold. We have 1 available. And the good news is that I will be living in 1. So we will be your neighbor. And yeah, it's a really special project. The vision is beautiful. Seeing it come to life is really special, where it was born from an idea, from working with the architects and designers, to now actually being able to walk through the buildings. We have done a ginormous pool in the middle. With
It's beautiful. I'm waiting for your pool party.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a statement pool.
Count us in for the housewarming.
Yes. Everyone was like, make it smaller, cut the pool. And I was really adamant. So now we have a ginormous pool.
Right. Can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're really excited about it. And we should be finishing going towards the end of the year, early next year. They should be fully livable. The project will be complete. And there's not really any projects like this in Encuentro.
Not in Encuentro. No, definitely.
No.
It's different.
There's no really new builds on our side of the road of Encuentro. There are some villas for sale, but the uniqueness of this project is something else. You know,
Some of the ones for sale, like, no offense, they're a little bit outdated. Like yours over there, like with Sarah, the interior designer, working on it, and you know, the entire team. Like, man, I can see it. It's right there. The finish line is right there.
Absolutely. And we were really blessed. You know, I surrounded myself with a brilliant team, from the architect, Ingrid Romerio, from Sarah Gudo, an interior designer that I worked with right from the beginning. So they complement each other, the designer and the architect. So she caught things that the architect wasn't looking for. So we've worked through that. Our builder is Rafael Severio, the one that's doing Eden. So he is creme de la creme. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, top notch.
So yeah, the project's gonna be spectacular.
What's the name of it?
It's called Isla Villas.
Isla Billy.
Isla Villas, Island Villas.
And how hands-on were you? We talked about being hands-on and being present. How often are you on site?
Yeah, we pass by pretty much every day. I've been very hands-on in the process, from the idea bringing everyone together to now seeing the construction through. It's been a labor of love. It's not easy, but it's going to be
Nothing worthwhile is easy.
Absolutely. And yeah, we can't wait. It's going to be really exciting to show everyone.
Yeah, so if you want to be Katie's neighbor,
Yep.
DM us, okay? We'll put you in direct contact
And
with
we
them.
might throw in some surf lessons.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, all right. I like that.
Deal.
Right, definitely. That's added value for sure. And, you know, if somebody wanted to relocate, Cornell, what would you tell them? What would you say? What advice would you give them? Or what process would you say works best from your experience?
From my experience, the first thing you need to do, well, let me just tell you my journey just a little bit.
Yeah,
about it.
absolutely.
So we were cruisers. My wife, likes to cruise. And one of the cruises we took was to the Caribbean. And then one of the stops was in Amber Cove in Puerto Plata.
Yeah.
So we, you get off the boat and you get to spend the day. And we're on the beach, and she's like, oh, I love this. We could do this. This is about 2017, 2018 or something like that. We could do this. We could really do this. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, it is nice. I mean, but yeah, because I'm making pretty darn good money, and so it was not on my radar, but it never left her mind. So we come back, and we do a little short vacation here. We're on the resort, though. You know what I'm saying? The resort life and real Dominican life.
Yeah, they're
two
different.
two
They're
different
very different.
But the beach is still the beach.
Yes. Like,
Yeah. So we're out there. And she's like, oh my God, baby, let's look into doing. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, look into it. Yeah, sure. But so I ran across a video from a guy. He's like, this is not the type of decision you make with a drink in your hand on the beach. You got to do some real research.
I agree.
And so I started doing a little research, even though I really wasn't on board. Then COVID hit, and they had my wife on hybrid. You go into the office sometime, you stay home sometime.
Yeah.
And people kept getting sick, and they were like, forget it, everybody remote. And their numbers spiked. And they were like, what the heck do we need an office for if you're doing better at home than you are in the office? So they closed the office down. Now she's on permanent. And she's like, get me to that island.
There you are.
So now I got to dig in for real. I'm like, you really want to? She was like, I really want to do it. And so I'm like, okay, fine. So that's 2020. And we didn't get here till 23. So I, started doing research and stuff like that. And then so we came back in 22, and she was like, so we spent, a week and a half really looking into the electricity and, how's this work and how's that work, and can we handle the power outages, and what is the vibe really what we want of the vibe. And then I got sold. Then I'm like, you know what, I love this place. God, I could just walk up and down the street, and just the freedom, decompression is real. So my advice is, and so then we just started making the preparations to get here. And so my advice is to do your research. I researched weather. I researched the healthcare.
Yeah.
I researched the crime. I researched personally being here is the vibe for me. And do your research, and then come and spend some time actually on the ground, talking to people, going to the store, driving if you have to drive. Come and actually experience it, and then make the move, because I guarantee you, once you do all those things, they're going to all fall into place. And everything just kind of fell into place for us. And we were like, we sold everything, sold our house, sold everything in our house. What we couldn't sell, we gave away. And I remember, last thing I'll say, I remember we had to play Jenga with our luggage in the back of the vehicle, because we were taking it to the dealership to sell it back to the dealership that I worked at, because I was in cars. And I put the keys on the shelf in the kitchen, and I'm standing in the garage. Everything's clean. This house is empty. It's ready to go. And I'm looking at my wife standing by. I know when I run out the garage and jump over that beam, it's over. It's done.
Yeah.
And I hit that button, and I ran, and I stepped out under the beam, and when it closed, I can't get back in. That's it. I'm like, honey, it's on now. And then we took off and got that feeling that this is the right thing to do feeling as I was driving away. And we looked at each other, tears streaming down our face, because I built that house for my wife.
Oh, wow.
And from the ground up, and tears streaming down our face. And I'm like, let's go. And we haven't looked back since.
Oh,
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I think sometimes for a lot of people, slow is fast. I think for our personal journey, our family, slow is fast also, right? So what we did is I sold a business back home about 10 years ago, and we actually did one full year where I met a lot of my friends here, like the same friends that I'm still with today, and we spent a whole year here.
Mm.
Right? We integrated into the community. My son did grade 1 here, and we made sure that this is somewhere that, we could adapt. That was great for the kids, right? And once we were able to check off those boxes, like you mentioned, then we started to map out what the plan actually looks like.
Yeah.
And it took me from the first time we started traveling and spending winters here to living here a full year, to when we actually bought our first property. It was actually 6 years.
Oh.
6 years. Right?
Wow.
So
Very
I think for a lot of
calculated.
people that are reaching out to RealtorDR and to individual people, we have to take that into consideration. Everyone has their own journey. Everyone has their own timing. It's just a matter of, helping them through that journey and being, that like North Star kind of guiding them into.
You and I have helped somebody start their journey together to get over here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of stories now. And what advice would you give, right? Because you brought the whole family down.
yeah.
You just had like you mentioned, the young ones.
Slow was not fast.
You were pretty fast.
I'm very spontaneous but I'm very calculated. I might make bold moves. That's how I operate in my life, but it works for me. I follow my intuition. This is something that I've always done. And I believe in me, frankly. And so I knew that when I was ready to do this, I was all in, and it really didn't matter all of the fine details. And I know it makes more sense. I'm aware that there is some logic behind there. Nonetheless, I've always been guided by something else. And so we did not have a solid plan when we came here. I'll be very honest with you. We did have a bank account full of money because we, like you, sold our house and everything we owned, and I had almost no debt. So there was just, ding, ding, ding into the pile. But, obviously we knew that we weren't going to be able to be here and just, deduct from there and never add back in. I had done real estate previously in Quebec and decided that this was my time to get back into it. And that was the best move I have made. Honestly, other than moving to this country, getting back into real estate and working with RealtorDR has been, I tell you all the time.
I still remember from the first time we sat down and I had the opportunity to meet you, and I said, what type of support were you getting from your brokerage back home? And maybe you can describe that, and maybe you can describe what the commitment we made to you was.
Yes. Well, I had a great, the person that was like the leader, he was great. I really appreciated him. But in terms of what was kind of given back to the employees or just the people that are working for the real estate brokerages is very little. You have to cultivate everything by yourself, which I did. But I did it during COVID. It was the worst time to possibly start a new career, but here we are. And, you guys told me that you have leads and you guys generate clients, and there are things that come organically to the company and that you'd be giving them to us. And I was like, for what? Like, what am I? And you're like, just going to give them. And then you make that into, you convert it. I'm like, just like that. And you're like, yes, Natalie. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then when I told you that I had never received any at all, and yet I was still able to grow a business there completely by myself with very little support, I guess we knew that it was the right fit for each other. So that was good.
Yeah, I think it's all about putting together the right team. And with our marketing team and with our content creators over here, we've been able to do a great job of grabbing people's attention,
Yep.
increasing the curiosity, providing insight, which has led to more conversations, and the conversations equal relationships, and the relationships equal opportunities. And just like your journey, we're there to guide people, right? At the end result, they could rent, that may not be for them, or it may be for them. Either way, hopefully somewhere along that, value added chain, we've provided value for them, right? And Katie, what advice would you give?
Just do it.
Just, yeah.
Do it.
Yes.
If you're thinking about
You live once. Exactly. If you're thinking about it, you can make it work. All three of you, including myself, are all good examples of we've all come from different backgrounds, moved for different reasons, and we've all made it a success. So Yep.
Break through the terror barrier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the hardest
Yeah.
part is
Right.
making the jump, and then the rest is playing
Believe
safe.
in yourself, and once you're here, you just know what you're capable of. And honestly, that's why I wasn't so afraid. And yes, I didn't, line everything up perfectly, but I got here, made it work, and now everything has been just continues to go upward in terms of success and happiness and overall joy in my life. And I would never change it for anything.
It'll be okay.
And I'm going to add on to the just do it part because I'm a big person on quotations, right? So one of my favorite quotations is to get to the top of the staircase. You only need to see one stair at a time, right?
Yeah.
And different people are going to be in different positions in their life, but you just have to start. And
Yeah.
if they wanted to start, how can they get a hold of you, Cornell?
You can get a hold of me on Instagram, Corn Does Deals. You can also
AKA Big Guy.
the big guy. Yep. And also you can email me at cornell@realtordr.com.
Excellent. And Katie, if somebody wants to be your neighbor, how can they get a hold of you?
You can email me at katie@realtordr.com. You can message me on Instagram, Florence Katie, I think, or even if you just type in Katie Florence Real Estate, it'll come up. Yeah, you can give me a call. My number's right there.
Yeah. And if you want to jump in our open house today or learn more about Sosua Ocean Village, how can they get a hold of you, Natalie?
Well, you can definitely reach out at Natalie@RealtorDR.com. I'm on Instagram, of course, at Selling DR with Natalie. And yeah, if they want to, if you're in the area, just go to security at SOV. My number's there somewhere online. It's right on my Instagram. So feel free to message me and I'll let you in. I live right there. So I'll be part of the security, right part of security today.
Fantastic. And for everyone else, if you haven't already subscribed to YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm also on Instagram. It's Robert Mac_CEO. Follow realtor.com on Instagram. And we'll also be uploading this podcast to Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, and Buzzsprout. So thank you guys. And we have a lot more coming. So stay tuned.